a nation. History bears testament to those who have led a nation. From the early kings that united warring tribes to create some semblance of a nation, to those that have caught the spirit and essence of their people and turned it into the ingredients to forge empires. We have seen those who have risen to lead. Kings, queens, emperors, revolutionaries, generals, presidents and prime ministers. Each has sought to harness the power of a nation and with it govern it. Some seek stability, others glory and conquest, and others wish to make the nation great again. From Julius Caesar to Margaret Thatcher, from Cleopatra to JFK, from Queen Elizabeth to Winston Churchill, and from Wu Zetian to Barack Obama, we have witnessed leaders rise and fall. The great and the greedy, the peaceful and the pugilists, the builders and the bringers of destruction. The world has witnessed many leaders, but what if your favorite YouTubers found themselves installed as a leader of a nation, be it an existing one or a virgin nation state? How would they lead? What would change? What would remain? What would their key policies be? What would be the national anthem? Who would form their cabinet? How would they rule? Well, you are about to find out in HG Tudor's exciting new series, If I Ruled My World, where YouTubers hold the reins of power and you decide if you want them as your leader. Hello, I'm HG Tudor and welcome to If I Ruled My World. It's a double whammy today, as we're now going to hand the reins of power to the second member, or the first member, depending on who you're going to address. We wouldn't want to show any favoritism here, of the Sidley twins. It's Nancy who's now going to share with us her vision for her country. So hello, Nancy, and welcome.
Hello, HD. Nice to see you again.
Likewise, and Stephanie's at your shoulder, no doubt, although she's promised that she's not going to interrupt. I really don't think that promise is going to be held.
Oh, I hope she does.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so Nancy, what's the name of your country?
It is Nancy-topia.
Nancy-topia. Okay.
Yes.
So we're getting a portmanteau of Nancy and Utopia, I should imagine.
Exactly, but I've always liked that name because it's my grandmother's name. So it's a little.
Is that her actual name? Is that her actual name?
I was named after my grandma Nancy. Yes.
Okay. Oh, I see. Right. Okay.
Not Nancy. Oh, her name.
No,
wasn't
I was just clarifying.
Yeah.
She wasn't called Nancy-topia. She might have been.
Might have been. Who knows?
Hey, you don't know. There could be people. We might have some pregnant viewers, and they're thinking, do you know what? I wasn't sure whether to call my child Chad or whether I would call her Chardonnay. In actual fact, I'll call her Nancy-topia. That's a good idea.
Utopia.
So any of you viewers are pregnant, Nancy-topia might be something you want to consider. So it does involve utopia, not dystopia.
No.
Okay, we're clear about that. And what's the capital of Nancy-topia?
Dude land.
Dude land.
I say dude so much. I thought it was a fun name. Dude land.
Okay. So the capital's Dude Land of Nancy-topia. And what's your seat of power?
My seat of power is giving advice to people, problem solving, and I get the final vote. So like, let's say, you know, everyone gets together and they need a deciding vote. I would be the one to do it.
I see. So you'd be dispensing the wisdom of Solomon, in effect.
I would.
I see. Very sage-like. Now, in Nancitopia, there is a national anthem. What is it?
Yeah. You gotta fight for your right to party.
Well, that's an excellent choice.
Is that a good one?
Yes, it is. And
It
nicely sung also.
It was between that or Barry Manilow's I Can't Smile Without You.
Ah, I think you've got to fight for your right to parties a bit more.
You like that
more,
one better?
Yeah, there's a bit more oomph with it, isn't there?
Okay.
So, which
Okay.
which is the Beastie Boys.
Yes.
And, now, remind me, what was their song that they did where they were dressed up as like San Francisco 70s cops?
The Beastie Boys?
Yeah.
Oh, you remind me. I don't know.
Well, you've just picked one of their songs, so I thought you'd
I know, but that doesn't mean I know.
It slipped from my memory.
Oh,
I think it's just one word. I think it's
I'll
just one word. And
think
anyway,
that-
I was just going to say it's a really good video, but it's nothing turns on it. Okay, so you've got to fight for your right to party.
Yes.
Is that played when it's just special occasions, i.e., we're going to have a celebration, or is it played more often?
I think it should be played. I think it should be played that when people visit Nancitopia, they get off the plane and it's the first thing you hear when you're coming down the stairs. And the same with trains. And you know you're in Nancitopia because that just starts blasting.
It sounds like it's going to be a hedonist's paradise.
Already. Well, you know,
that's the case.
It is me.
All right. Okay. I wonder if your border officials will be on board with that, but maybe they'll have no choice. They've been told to. All right. What's your national dish?
Oh, penne norma. I'm Italian. My mom is full-blooded Italian, and I love. If I had to pick a favorite dish, it would be penne norma, and I think my people would love it as well.
Yes.
Yes.
Tell us all what's penne norma.
Penne pasta, and it's tomato sauce with eggplant and some capers, a little basil,
Tomatoes.
I already said
Fresh
tomatoes. Yeah,
tomatoes.
fresh tomato sauce, and just kind of like herbs and spices, and it's just you can add cheese if you want, but it's just so delightful, and it's an
eggplant pasta.
Yeah, it's an eggplant pasta.
It sounds good, and I have to say, although it's an Italian dish, your description of it was so American, because you say tomato, and of course we say tomato. You say eggplant, we say aubergine. You say basil, we say basil, and you say herbs, we say herbs. So I rather enjoyed that. Do you think you could try? Do you think you could try and say the ingredients with an English accent for me?
Oh yeah. Well, okay, wait. I have to now think.
Her boyfriend's Canadian.
Yeah, that's not
Well,
English.
that's not going to help, Stephanie.
I know.
Okay,
I'm just
well,
saying.
herbs. I can say herbs. And
Yes.
basil. Basil.
Yeah.
Basil.
Uh-huh.
What's the egg? How do you say eggplant?
Aubergine.
Aubergine.
Yes. And you say tomato, we say
Tomato.
very good. Yeah,
Tomato or okay.
Okay, there
I
you
think
go.
You know, I thought Princess Anne had entered the chat.
I-
Well said. Well done. Okay, so
Thank you.
penne norma is the dish.
Yes.
When's that consumed? Is it every week? Special occasions?
I would say once a week.
Yeah.
It would be a staple.
She
Yeah,
likes it.
people would love to. You know, they go out to dinner and it's served at every restaurant. if you are inclined, other things are served, obviously, and yeah,
Okay.
not just for special occasions.
What's your national animal?
The mutt, and can I say too, because it has to be also a feral cat.
A mutt and a feral cat.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're going to go for two national animals there.
Well, both street animals, you know.
Yeah.
Just Street animals.
Yeah, but a mutt and a feral cat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So a mutt and a feral cat being the national animals roaming around the streets.
Exactly.
So is it the case that if anybody sees one of those national animals, do they have to break into a rendition of "You've Got to Fight for Your Right to Party" and offer them some penny norma?
They must
Love
they must curtsy to it.
They must curtsy to the cat and
Yeah.
to the dog. Okay.
But everybody will
Want to adopt.
want to adopt them. There'll hardly be any feral and mutts running around the streets of Nancytopia because
Is that because they're all going to be rounded up and shot?
no, they're going to be eaten. No, they're going to already have homes, hopefully.
Oh, I see. I went down the wrong route there. Right. Now, you have designed a flag which appears on screen when we're talking this through. And this has been beautifully put together with Nancytopia. And we've got hearts and rainbows and a glittery butterfly and a sparkly star. And it has the message where no animal suffers and or are neglected. So it really is. It's all rainbows and unicorns, isn't it?
It really is. I want to trick people, giving them a false sense of hope.
Wait, what?
No, I'm kidding. No, I would like to think that I know with all regimes, there's always the ability to go too far when there's one person running it. So I would hope I would have learned from other mistakes and it would be fun and harmonious, and let's hope, cross our fingers.
Where do we find this flag flying? Is it from all public buildings? Is your Olympic team running around with it? Is it on people's cars? Where do we see this flag?
It's the flag. The flag's going to be on all the federal buildings. And when we do go to the Olympics and dominate, of course, it'll be on everybody's warm-up jacket and pretty much, yeah. But people shouldn't feel obligated. They don't have to, if they don't want to have a flag in front of it's okay.
What's the reaction if somebody burns the flag of Nancytopia?
If they burn the flag, it's just a piece of cloth. It's okay. It would make me sad, but
no one will go to jail.
No one's going to get into trouble for that.
Right. Okay. Understood. What's your national motto?
My national motto is all are welcome here except for Meghan Markle.
That's good, dude.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
It's a nice one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's catchy.
Yeah.
All welcome here except for Meghan Markle.
Yeah.
Sweet thing to
say.
say.
Right to the point.
Yeah. Yeah. Just get right on it.
Do you think she's the type of person that kicks the cat when she walks in?
I've never actually seen her do it, but
I don't trust her.
I wouldn't trust her with animals.
No.
Never.
I think that would probably be a wise stance to take. Okay,
Yeah.
So all are welcome here except for Meghan Markle. And
Yes.
where do we see this motto? Is it tattooed on people's arms? Is it on child's birthday cakes?
It's on everybody. It's on the money. It's on the Nancytopia money. And it's on the seal of every courthouse. Where you go, just in official capacity, so people just know. Yeah, they just know.
And what's your national day? What's it called, and when is it?
Well, Stephanie pretty much got me on this one, but National Day of Animal Adoption, she did hers the day after Christmas. I actually did mine September 1st because when the fall starts, autumn. Would you guys say autumn or fall?
We say autumn, yeah.
Yeah, we say fall here.
I know.
Is usually when they dump the animals because they have them and the people get a lot of animals during the summer. They play with them and
same time,
and then they dump them. So mine would.
When the nights start to draw in and they have to maybe take them into the house more, that becomes an inconvenience. So it's time to dispense with the animals. So there's two.
Yeah, National Day of Animal Adoption, and it would be September 1st.
And what happens on this National Day of Animal Adoption?
All the animals, all the adoption fees are waived. So,
And
Okay.
every radio and
Yeah.
podcast has.
yeah, every radio, it's on all the radio stations, all the TV stations have to mention it. And again, all the adoption fees are waived, but you still have to fill out a form and make sure you're a good person and you're not doing it for nefarious reasons.
Sure. Yeah. So nobody eating the dogs.
Exactly. No barbecuing the cats.
No barbecuing. So there wouldn't be a National Animal Barbecue Day, September the 2nd.
No,
Oh, okay.
absolutely not.
That's a very firm policy set out there. So the animals can be adopted on September the 1st, and you've thought that
Yep.
through as to how that's going to be done. So let's see what your thoughts are in relation to some specific policies where I'm going to give you a range of options. You may only pick one, no caveats allowed. Let's start with your foreign policy, Nancy. Would it be a case of it's all about defending Nancytopia and that's all that you're interested in the world? Or would you aid allied nations and defend Nancytopia? Would Nancytopia have a world policing role? Or would it be expansionist? So, for instance, if there was a bit of territory that you say historically belonged to Nancytopia that you would then want to retake? Or would you look to take back historical territories and that diamond mine in the neighbouring country looks rather nice. I fancy something shiny and sparkly. We're going to invade. Or is it simply the case if somebody looks at you funnily, you're going to invade them?
I mean, it's the diamond mine is an absolute no because of the way they mine the diamonds. I've always been against diamonds. Even when I was married, I was very weird about wearing a diamond ring. That's why I never wore a wedding ring.
Mhm.
I like the just aiding allied nations and being that's the best I can do. As much as I want to get I want my land back, sometimes you got to just suck it. Suck it up.
Suck it up, butter.
Suck it up for the good of your country.
Righto, okay. So it's aid allied nations and defend own country. And we've learned that the excuse that Nancy used for not wearing her wedding ring was an ethical objection to the mining of diamonds and nothing to do with wanting to say to the chaps, I'm available for hanky-panky.
Well, I am that, yes.
Absolutely. Understood. Okay. Nuclear missiles. Would there be none in your country, or would you have them simply as a deterrent that you would not use, but you don't let the world know that? Or would you use them only in retaliation if nuclear missiles were fired at Nancytopia? Or is the attitude of, hell yeah, let's start nuking?
I would definitely want them and just not use them or tell anybody. But
A
yeah.
deterrent.
Oh,
So
yeah.
deterrent.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
If other countries have them, why shouldn't we?
Yeah. So you just maintain them as a deterrent.
Yeah.
When it comes to it. You know, the first thing that the UK Prime Minister does when he or she is appointed is they write a letter which is sent to all the commanders of our nuclear submarines, telling them what to do in the event that they can't contact the United Kingdom. So, as you know, a nuclear submarine disappears, goes into deep waters, and often is incommunicado. And when they come back into range or that are able to communicate, they run through a series of tests to ascertain that the United Kingdom is still there, one of which is testing that BBC Radio 4 is still broadcasting. And in the event that they can't establish contact with the United Kingdom, the assumption is that the UK is no longer functioning or has been destroyed. They then open this envelope, which provides them with essentially they are to retaliate, or they are to do nothing, or they are to go and seek out an allied country and offer their services, for instance, go to Australia or something like that. And that's the first thing the Prime Minister must do. So he can't choose what wallpaper he or she is going to have in 10 Downing Street. They have to write out that letter. And there's a really interesting radio play that examines the thought process of it all, as the Prime Minister has to decide what the response would be. So I just thought I'd throw that.
That is so interesting.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
love things like that. Ooh.
Yeah. So deterrent only.
Later day.
I love stuff like that.
Yeah, it is. I'll find out for you what the play is called and email it.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
You can. It's accessible via the internet.
Ooh.
Now, press freedom. Would there be the case that there's no state interference, or you would only interfere on the grounds of national security, or you'd interfere on whatever you deem to be sensitive, i.e. your government, or the media is state-owned?
No state interference whatsoever.
State interference. So people can write what they want, broadcast what they would like.
Yeah, as long as it's not speech that says, "Hey, go kill so and so."
Hate speech.
Yeah, hate speech in that sense. But
what's defined as hate speech?
I mean, I knew he's
Hate speech is telling someone to off themselves.
Actually,
But
telling them to
that's
off
free
themselves.
speech. That's free speech.
No.
Well, don't, Stephanie, in
That
my,
is free
this
speech.
is my
but-
world. Stephanie, this is my world.
Okay, is it free speech?
What?
So you'd be cool with that?
No, I'm saying that speech is speech, but you couldn't go out and tell someone to off someone.
That's what I just said.
You couldn't say you need to go. You need to go.
I just said that. And you
Okay.
said no.
Oh, okay. I didn't-
Twin fight.
Okay, so yeah, there's. It would be.
Stephanie was exercising her right of freedom of speech there, and
Yes.
automatically we were entering problems. Okay.
But yeah, freedom of press and freedom of speech, I'm all for.
Okay.
Let's
So in effect, there's no state interference, but presumably you would make that kind of language a crime, and therefore, where somebody encouraging somebody to go and kill.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody encouraged someone to, if someone put a full page spread out and gave somebody's address and said, go kill this person.
Yeah.
Yes, that would be a crime,
Okay.
in my view.
Okay. What about religious tolerance? Is there complete freedom of worship and expression? Or is there freedom of worship unless it provokes other people, looks to cause harm to them? Or is it your indigenous religion, but you will secretly tolerate others? Or is it your existing indigenous religion only? There's non-tolerance and you'll persecute unapproved religions? Or is it simply the case, I am the amazing Nancy, you all worship me?
Freedom of religion, as long as it's separate from church and, I mean, as long as it's separate church and state, I have no problem with it. Let people, let them love.
If that's their bag, if that's their gig, they can get on with it.
If that's their thing, yeah, let them worship flying Martians. I don't care.
Yeah,
But
so if they want to worship an imaginary friend, they're allowed to do that.
they're totally allowed to do it. No big deal.
Okay. What if someone starts saying, my imaginary friend is bigger than your imaginary friend and would beat them up in a fight? They can still say that?
Yes, of course, it's free speech. It goes under the First Amendment.
Okay.
Their imaginary friend, I'd be like, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
I'd like to see him try.
Ooh.
Oh, you mean saying my religion is better than, my God is bigger than your God?
In effect, yes.
Yeah.
It's so difficult for me because I am agnostic. So
Yeah.
And not even agnostic. I'd say atheist at this point. Where I don't believe in anything in the sky, but I really don't care what other people think as long as it doesn't hurt anyone. It doesn't bother me. Let them work it out.
Well, that seems clear enough. What about equality? Are minorities actively supported and they are protected and they get positive discrimination? Or is it they're simply protected by anti-discrimination legislation? Or is the attitude, we promote ability, we don't fill quotas, or minority issues are ignored, or basically you persecute minorities because after all, they really are annoying and irritating, aren't they?
Well, how about we don't fill quotas and people just work on their own value system? Is that okay?
Well, that isn't an option.
Oh, that wasn't an option. Oh, I thought it was
was
an
the
option.
option,
Sorry. Okay. What was number one again?
That's basically that minorities are actively supported. They are also protected, but they get positive discrimination. So that goes back to Cletus comes from a minority group, and
Yeah.
he's given a leg up so that he gets a job, even though he's not particularly good at it.
I mean, God, that's a toughie for me. Just because he's a minority, he gets a leg up.
Yeah, he gets some favorable treatment because there aren't enough of Cletuses in the workplace.
In the workplace.
Hmm.
See, I think at the end of the day, that just causes more discrimination.
Yeah.
In my view, and Nancy Topia just wants to be a society where we see no fairness and no color. And
if he's better at the job, then give the guy who's better at the job.
but then but then what about Cletus? He didn't. Well,
Should have tried harder at school, I guess.
Should he try harder at school? But then you run into the thing, well, maybe he didn't have a chance because of his minority. He didn't have a chance to go to the kind of schools that the person who got the job went.
Hey, shit happens. I mean, there we are.
That's called
Okay,
life.
so that's how I feel. Okay.
So would you ensure, for instance, then, that nobody would say to Cletus, hey, you can't have a job because you're from Cletusville?
No,
Or a member of
obviously,
Cletusville?
no. I think everyone should get it at
Everyone
their own
gets
merit.
a fair interview.
Fair shot. Fair
interview.
Yeah.
So they're protected. He'd be protected by anti-discrimination legislation.
Oh.
Sure.
Okay. Now then, we're going to turn to the question of the short form cabinet that's going to govern Nancytopia, where no animal suffers and or are neglected, as we see on the national flag, with butterflies and rainbows and hearts.
It's so weird.
That's not very nice, criticizing Nancy's flag, saying it's weird.
No, I didn't mean to like that because
I made it last night when I was drunk.
Oh, when you were drunk. No, I saw it this morning because it's like Nancy and I always sing this song to each other. Sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows everywhere.
That's where I got it.
That's why I said it's so weird because we sing this song to each other. I didn't mean it like that. I love you.
Well, so you have your little peccadillos there. That's entirely fine.
Yeah. Sunshine.
Now back to the matter of this cabinet. Nancy, who's your defense chief?
Okay, and it could be a not like a fictional person, right?
It could be anybody, fictional.
Jon Snow. Duh.
Jon Snow. But
Jon Snow.
He knows nothing.
No, he knows
I
everything.
feel like he doesn't.
Jon Snow.
I've never watched them.
Okay, let's not. First of all, the Battle of the Bastards. He won that battle. But
I've never seen the show.
How about Hardhome when he fought the Night King for the first time ever? This guy, if I needed a defense, part of my defense ministry, it would be Jon Snow.
Not Harrison Ford?
No, Jon Snow, 100%.
Okay, let's take this scenario, Nancy. There's an invading nation, okay, called Marklemania, okay?
No.
They're marching on your boundaries, and Jon Snow, they're there, they're coming with tanks, they're coming with missile launchers, there's the threat of potential biological weapons, and Jon Snow walks in and goes, Nancy, I think we should use the horses and swords to stop them.
Okay, but Meghan Markle is nothing compared to the Night King. Jon Snow would figure something out.
But his experience
smart.
of battle is based upon medieval weaponry. Is he the right man to defend a progressive and
know that?
technologically advanced
Jon
nation?
Snow, since he's been under my command, has been taught how to use tanks. He's been taught how to use F-15s. He's been taught to shoot weapons. He's smart and he picks things up. And I would go with Jon Snow in a heartbeat.
Well, that's an excellent response to my provocation there. He's been taught.
Smart.
Okay. So he's defense chief.
Yes.
Who's foreign secretary?
Hans Lando from Inglourious Bastards. And I'll tell you why.
That's my favorite movie.
He speaks so many languages. Okay. And he's just so smart and sneaky. You need someone sneaky like that in your ranks. You just do. And I think Hans Lando.
He's the secretary of, what is he?
Foreign.
Oh
Secretary.
yeah. Oh, he'd be perfect.
Yeah.
He'd be perfect.
Yeah, that's who I'd have to go with.
That's a good one.
Now, he was Hans Lando. He was the Standardführer, if I remember rightly.
Yes.
Standartenführer.
Yes.
And but he's nicknamed the Jew Hunter.
He is Nick, and I am half Jewish, but He at the end of the movie, you realized he really didn't care about any sides. He was just on the side of himself.
Mhm.
And he just wanted to win and get himself out of that war. He just didn't care. But as far as like his mind goes, he's just a smart guy. And if I had to have someone, I'd pick him.
That's certainly a very interesting choice. What are you going to do about the swastika that's been carved into his forehead?
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? I thought about that, and he can just wear a hat, or we can get some plastic surgery going on.
I mean, he's a Nazi, man, and you're Jewish, so how would that work out?
I'd talk to him. I'd sit him down, and I'd be like, "Look, do you really want to be a Nazi?" And he'd be like, "No, I didn't know what else."
I wanted to fit in with the cool crowd.
I wanted to fit in with the cool crowd.
Oh, and then you would deprogram him.
I wouldn't have to. He'd be like, I go, "Hey, you want to be on a winning side? Come to Nancy-topia."
There you go.
There are certainly one can understand that there are advantages with him, because he's been described as the fact that he is charming, and he's polite, and he's intelligent, he's ruthless, and he's relentless. So that can be advantageous. But wouldn't you be worried that he might swap sides again?
I don't think he'd swap sides. I think him and I would come to an understanding.
How would you get him to come to an understanding with you?
Because I think I know him. I think I know a person like him.
Through sex.
Shut up. I think I know him, and I think the kind of he is. And yes, I might have had a crush on him when I was watching the movie, but
so spicy poontang is going to be utilized.
I love the actor in real life. I think he's fantastic. But
now, is it the character that you want, or is it the actor that you
want? The character. No. I definitely want the character.
You want the character.
He's shrewd. Mm-hmm. He's brilliant, and you definitely want people like that on your side sometimes.
Would you want him to shout, "That's a bingo"?
I would like him to do that. Only in our bedroom.
Only only at climax.
Stephanie!
At climax, there's a yell of, "That's a bingo." Okay.
That's a bingo.
That's a bingo.
Well, we're getting a bit fruity here, and we really are getting beneath the skin of this nation. Okay. Who's Chief Scientific Officer, Nancy?
Oh, Tony Stark. Iron Man himself.
Tony Stark.
That's a good choice.
How can you possibly?
I mean, how could you not have him do that?
He is.
What do you see that Stark's going to bring to the party?
Well, I mean, Stark thinks outside the box, and sometimes in just being strategic, you need to find somebody who doesn't always think like a book. You need someone who thinks outside the box. And for what I've seen Tony Stark, I'm very impressed by his work. But just and if I had my choice of anybody, scientist-wise, I would definitely go with him. I mean, the man was able to make a superconductor inside a cave in the desert all by himself. I mean,
pretty resourceful.
Very resourceful.
Very, very.
Yeah, good choice. Who's holding the purse strings? Who's the Treasury Secretary?
You know, a lot of people are going to not like this answer, but I don't care. I really like this person, Elon Musk. Mm-hmm. I like Elon Musk. I think the guy is smart with money. I think he
has to be.
He's a visionary.
Yeah.
And I think I would love to have him on in my cabinet. I would.
He has featured in one of the persons. I can't remember whose it was now. Somebody else had them in their cabinet as well. So I think they might have had him as Chief Scientific Officer.
Oh.
Yeah.
No.
But I can understand that. World's richest man, intermittently. Sometimes he's knocked off the top by the Louis Vuitton individual.
Well, I mean, look at what he did recently. NASA couldn't bring those astronauts home for how many months, and SpaceX goes up there and they save them. Yeah. I mean, how is that not front page news? Nobody even talked about it.
Yeah. Okay, so Elon is going to be there as Treasury Secretary. Who's your Minister for Fun?
Stephanie. Stephanie.
Why is Stephanie Minister for Fun?
Because I always have fun with her. She's my...
And I know how to get people going. I know how to throw a good party.
Okay.
A good party is going to be
Good party. We have a right.
Yeah, Stephanie
to
can. Yeah,
party.
Stephanie can be the one to always start the song.
Well, that's okay. Well, you need somebody to be the life and soul.
Yes.
So good choice. Okay, so that's the cabinet, which interestingly is a mixture of fictional individuals and real individuals. So yeah, that's interesting. Male dominated.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Well, I hate to say this, but I was a kindergarten teacher at a school, and yeah, man, chicks, sometimes we just don't get a lot done in a day.
Jeez,
You gotta have
Nancy.
men. You gotta have men sometimes. I'm sorry, I'm just being honest.
Wow.
I'm being honest.
Lord.
It is
Okay.
very male dominated.
Which country would be your major ally?
Italy, the motherland.
The motherland.
Yes.
Would you be expecting any particular favors from Italy?
Like from the sons of Italy or brothers of it. I favors, no, but I've always felt like we would go back there. We would summer in Italy when we were kids because we have family there, and it always felt like a second home. So, if I had to pick an ally, it would definitely be them because it just feels like home.
And you're always going to get great food as well.
And that.
Yeah, exactly. And which country would be your main enemy?
Well, I recently saw a documentary on Chechnya, and oh, good Lord, I would never want to go there. It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Talk about like human rights and just overall, it's like a warlord runs the place. It's an interesting country or territory. I don't know, but
one you would not want to go to.
no, it scared me. I couldn't believe like this was like still going on in this day and age. I couldn't believe it. This Chechnya.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about it.
I mean, part of it gained independence following a war, and part of it stayed part of Russia as well. So yeah, okay. Well, it's certainly a problematic area, so one can understand that they would get enemy status. Now, is there a particular group that would not be welcome in Nancitopia?
This is exactly what I wrote. No, except Megan.
Okay. So she's on the blacklist.
She's on the blacklist, yeah.
She'll probably say that I'm racist for saying that.
Letter.
Who cares?
There we are. Well, that's straightforward. That doesn't need any further expansion or explanation. Let us now move on to your foundation policies. Find out what has been going on in the feverish mind of Nancy that's going to aid the good citizens of Nancitopia. What's your first policy, Nancy?
Well, my dad started a small business and it became very successful. And he did it in the 80s when, they were Reagan was president and the middle class was getting a lot of help. So I would not put any new taxes on the middle class so they could do startup businesses and small businesses. And I'm not saying that like Kamala, I really truly do mean it because I see how important it is to invest in our middle class. That's one of them.
So you see them as the sort of the innovators and the backbone of the economy, do you?
100% middle class.
So
I think giving out, I wouldn't give out like, I wouldn't expand the government to give out more welfare to the welfare state because that literally does nothing. Coming from Portland, Oregon, we've been doing it for years here and it just makes everything worse. So I would expand on the middle class.
I see. And when you announce this policy, will you do so by saying, read my lips, no new taxes?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. You're going to follow George Bush in that respect. Okay.
Exactly. Well, he was Reagan's vice president.
Okay. What's policy 2?
There would be all kill shelters would be banned, not just state to state. It wouldn't be, there would be a national ban on kill shelters.
And for people who don't understand what a kill shelter is.
A kill shelter is a place where they take the pets. It's a county shelter. And if the animal is there more than a certain amount of months, days, they can get euthanized. And like Oregon, Oregon is a state that does no kill shelters. But California does kill shelters. New York does kill shelters. I would do a national ban. Well, actually, I would be only one country. So state. So my whole thing would be.
So your whole country has.
Yeah, my whole country would be no kill shelter. Yeah.
So what would happen with these animals then?
There would be a government, the government would get more money to people who would want to foster, because the problem is there are a lot of people out there that want to foster. There's just not enough money to give to the rescues to help them, because when you foster an animal, it's the rescue that has to pay for the medical, pay for the food, pay for everything. And those are always the ones we feature on our show. And so by giving more rescues money, and it would be through the government, you wouldn't need kill shelters anymore. You would just find fosters. So I'm sure it'd be tough, but I think we could do it.
Understood. Well, you're not going to be using your nuclear weapons, so you'd be saving some money there.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that.
Utilized, couldn't it? Okay, policy 3.
If anybody, oh wait, where is it? I guess I went into what you said. No more zoos. All zoos would have to turn into animal sanctuaries. Mm-hmm. No more zoos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that is perfectly self-explanatory. So sanctuaries rather than zoos, for all reasons that were outlined earlier. 4th policy, please.
Any animal abuse whatsoever. Not a first offense, you don't get a first offense, not a second offense, not a third offense. The first time you do it, it's punishable with a minimum of 10 years in prison.
That seems fair.
Yeah, because guess what? They won't do it again.
Yeah, that seems fair.
10 years in prison.
Okay, so any animal abuse. So somebody kicks a dog, that's 10 years in prison.
10 years in prison.
Yes.
Dog is left outside in the cold while the person's at work.
10 years in prison.
Well, wait, do they know that they left the dog outside?
They do know that.
Yeah. They know, and how cold is it?
Sub-zero.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely
10 years in prison.
Okay, it's 3 degrees, and they didn't know that the dog was outside. They thought they'd let them in, and they forgot.
They would have to prove it.
The dog, and I understand you can speak to the animals, as we were discussing earlier, that the dog says, I don't really like the food I'm being served. I find that abusive. 10 years in prison?
You're so silly.
You're so silly.
Okay. So physically striking an animal, that's imprisonment.
Yes.
Imprisonment, torture, neglect,
neglect,
starvation.
Yeah. Is there any mitigation? What if you're dealing with someone who's educationally subnormal and they don't really, they struggle to look after themselves, let alone an animal?
Well, then they shouldn't have the dogs. So
they shouldn't have the dog.
The state needs to come in and
get them in prison.
Gave them the dog? Find out. No, not that person. Find out who gave them the dog, and then put that person in prison.
What about some kind of justice model of saying, okay, you can now live in a kennel outside in the cold for a few days?
No, prison.
No, it's prison it is. Okay. Policy number 5, please.
Elderly people past a certain age should not have to worry about bills. Like their bills just go away. No, none of this, just like Social Security should take care of everything.
What age is the cutoff point?
Well, I would say 65. I know it sounds young. Look at somebody's face.
No, it's got to be like 75.
75?
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay, 75. The state should take care of the elderly people because it's not fair for them. Well, no, the reason I say 65 stuff is because there's a lot of people that lose their jobs now, and they don't have a way of getting back into the workforce.
It's your world, dude.
They don't have a way of getting back in the workforce.
Okay, what are we going for? 65 or 75?
65.
Okay, 65. What if we've got a 68-year-old who really wants to, crank up the heat during the winter, wandering around in shorts and t-shirt inside, yeah, and they've got seriously high bills.
Yeah.
It's like you almost be thinking, is there a marijuana farm in the attic? The electricity bills through the roof.
Yeah.
Are we just going to have it open-ended that no matter what their bills are, they're going to be covered?
Well, I didn't think of it that far, so you got me there. I would have to look at the projection and how much everything would cost. But isn't it true that in the UK now, aren't they cutting off like heat rations for the? Is that true right now?
There's a winter fuel payment, which if you're over a certain threshold, a number of pensioners will lose. The Labour government has decided that if they freeze to death, that'll mean that there'll be savings overall, which can then be spent on Keir Starmer getting some new clothing and be able to get tickets to watch Taylor Swift.
Okay, so don't you think that's wrong?
A lot of people regard it as wholly inappropriate because it's the actual amount is only about, I think, £300. Which in the scheme of things isn't a large payment, but it does make a significant difference for those affected by it, by all accounts.
Yeah.
So I think the issue you're going to have, of course, is that a sizable proportion of your population is going to be above 65 years of age, with people living longer. And so that would place a very significant burden on your economy.
Interesting.
I mean, obviously, you'd have to do the costing in relation to it.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to get together with Elon, and we'd have to sit down and discuss it.
Elon might suggest that with the number of rescue dogs that you have, that they be harnessed up to treadmills to generate electricity to power the home of the old people. Would that be regarded as abuse? Or, but I mean, dogs like running around, don't they? So
that would be abuse. Because I had no more animal testing too on my list. I know you only asked for 5, but I had number 6 is no more animal testing.
Well, you could probably squeeze that in under policy 3 with your no more zoos and no more animal testing.
Maybe my dogs would like that, but no, I hear treadmills are cruel.
Will had his Rottweilers.
I'm just saying they're cruel.
Yeah. Well, Nancy, thank you very much for sharing your vision of Nancytopia, a country which puts the rights of animals pretty much at the forefront, with a mutt and a feral cat as the national animals. We have, of course, the delightful flag with its butterflies and stars and rainbows, so much so it causes Sidley twins to break out into song in relation to it. All are welcome in Nancytopia, except for Meghan Markle, and similarly, she isn't allowed in to the country. Elon Musk is going to be the Treasury Secretary. Jon Snow is going to defend the nation. Tony Stark, he came up with a transformer in a cave, so he's going to be a very proficient Chief Scientific Officer. Slightly controversial appointment with Hans Lander for Foreign Secretary, but there was a stern argument there based upon basically she wants to get jiggy with him, which of course is always a good argument, isn't it? But overall, the citizens are going to fight for their right to party. If this is the kind of place that you'd like to live in, valuable viewers, well, you can let us all know, because you'll be able to vote in the community section to declare, do you know what? That sounds like a utopia to me. Or you might say, goodness me, not a chance. Help all the animals? No, I'm going to bring down this government. I don't like the idea of being given 10 years imprisonment because I got the food wrong for my dog. I know I'm taking that out of context. Nancy, thank you very much for participating in I Rule My World.